Hey, what's up guys? It's LegoHobo910 here with another LEGO video, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing set number 76124, the War Machine Buster from Avengers Endgame, so let's get right into the review. Here is the War Machine Buster, which is a bit of an odd name. As you know, the Hulk Buster is used to defeat or bust Hulks. You would think the War Machine Buster would be to use against War Machine, but it's actually a Hulk Buster for War Machine, so the name's a bit funky, but then again, I can't think of anything they could name it that's better. So, before we take a closer look at the mech here, I just want to show how to get Rhodey in here, because it is a bit different than most mechs. You can't just throw him in, so he has all these big guns all around him. So the cockpit here opens up pretty normally. They have this nice printed dome there, which is a very similar print in the same piece as on the Hulk Buster. And that just opens up. And the base opens up, and a nice little inclusion here that you can just slide right on in there is a place to put all the extra studs for the various guns on it. Most of the time I just have an extra stack of studs laying around, so I like that they included a place to put them. So there's just 8 studs stacked on this inverted tile here. Then you can just slide it in there. So it's a nice decision for them to include a place to store it. Then you get War Machine in. You have to pop off his guns, obviously, and then he just slides in pretty normally with a little foot bracket there. Then it closes up. There's the slightest bit of gappage, except it's not too bad, and you can get this helmet a bit lower. Yeah, if you just move these little armor pieces there. There's really nothing you can do about the gappage there other than doing that, but that just looks weird because it all becomes super flat. But then I like that they included a place to actually put his guns. I love when they do that on vehicles. They include a place to put the weapons if they can't fit in the cockpit with the minifig. So you can just attach them right there along the wrists, which is a very good decision. So now let's look at the jointing of this mech, starting with the legs here. The legs are on click hinges, which click back and forward, and then side to side. And then also the ankle or knee joint is on a ball joint. And then he has posable toes right there. And then these toes also move side to side. And you may think that this is kind of a dumb inclusion, but this actually really helps with balance. Helps me fairly easily get him into a running position there. And without the posable toes, I couldn't get the correct balance there. So I'm really glad that they're starting to include posable toes on mechs more often now. It really helps with the balance. I also like the look of the legs here. There's 2 stickers on each leg, one there, and then one here on this weird, like, armor piece I've never seen, so I think it may have been used on Bionicles a long time ago, but I've never seen this, and definitely helps this mech be a bit more unique. Now let's move up to the arms, which are on ball joints up here, and you would think that these large shoulder pads, which also have the same stickers as down on the feet there, would restrict it, but they've actually hinged the shoulder pads here, so that way you can move the arms more freely and just, you know, fold the shoulder pads out of the way. So that's pretty nice. And then my one complaint with this mech is the jointing here. Most of the time, you know, they would have another ball joint here, but for some reason they only have it rotating at the wrist instead of, you know, having like a kind of elbow joint and then having the wrist rotate. They just have it rotate there, so I don't know why they decided to do that. It definitely lowers the posability a bit, and then his arms always have to stay in these weird right angles. So that's just my one complaint. But then the 4 fingers are individually posable. This one can just go back and forth, and then these can go like that. And then they included a red inverted tile to, you know, represent the repulsors on his hands. So that looks pretty good. And then near the chest here, they have a lot of stickers. There's one on either side, and that one just says James Rhodes there. And then there's also one right there where this hinges. Then moving up to the shoulders, there's 2 more stickers. That one, which looks pretty cool. And then I like this one especially. It has 004.5, which is kind of funny, as there have been 4 War Machine suits, the Mark IV being in Infinity War, and then this is the 4.5. They didn't call it the 5. Don't know why they didn't call it the 5, but I don't know. I think it's a bit funny that it's just the 4.5. And then let's move around to the back here. I like how smooth the back is. It's pretty well done. You know, a lot of mechs just have a flat, weird-looking back, but this is really smoothed out. There's obviously still some anti-stud showing, but they did a pretty good job there. And then he has these 2 armaments here. This rocket launcher, which is on a ball joint, and then also it swivels at the base here. And that just has a couple flick-fire missiles, which you can just launch off. Does not include any extras, though, which is a bit sad. And then he has this chain gun, machine gun type thing, which is just a 6-stud shooter, which I'm not going to fire off because the studs get lost, but you can imagine you spin this, and then it goes around and shoots those off. I like the build here, once again, with some pieces I've never seen there. Those, like, Technic connectors. And then it also just looks fairly good. It is a bit weird that they have dark gray on this side and then some light gray on that side. I think that is a bit weird. But overall, I think the rocket launcher there is pretty, or excuse me, gun there's pretty good. I definitely prefer the rocket launcher. I wish it had a bit more depth, though, as it does look really thin. But yeah, overall, I really like this mech, and will definitely be a fine addition to my mech collection. So now let's go look at the minifigs. So we're going to start with the two heroes in the set. We have War Machine, and then we have Ant-Man. We'll start with War Machine. These two just have the Quantum Realm suits that come in, I believe, 4 out of 5 of the sets in this wave, as well as the polybag in the Endgame sets here. So they do get a bit redundant and boring, but that doesn't mean that they aren't good torsos. They have some very little printing, like on the dark gray area there. You can see there's a bit of the little silver there, which you can only really see when the light hits it right. It's a lot easier to see in real life. Just some quality there to give it that kind of a metal weave look. And there's also toe printing and just all sorts of little details, like they have the slightly lighter gray there on the white, just to give it a bit more kind of depth. Also all the little red, so the torsos are pretty good, and same with the legs, even though they are redundant. And then, I'm not going to take this off the back, as you can just look there, it's the same torso. And then War Machine comes with these two silver stud guns, which we looked at a moment ago. I don't know why they didn't use black. Obviously, black would look better, and that's what they've been using. But then again, maybe they use silver because it looks better on the mech. I think black would have looked fine on the mech, though, but they use silver here, which doesn't really match with the minifig. And then also, interestingly, his helmet here is a lot different than the previous one. That one that came in the Bricktober pack for the War Machine Mark IV. This one actually has a lot of black printing along there, a lot more than normal. You know, normally there's just a tiny little bit along the chin, but if I pop the visor here, you can see just how much black they printed on there. There's a lot of black printed on. And then he uses the same head as the War Machine, the Bricktober pack there, with the one smiling face and then the other face having the HUD, which I think looks pretty cool. It's similar to the Iron Man Mark 50, except I think the red HUD looks just a bit cooler. And then here's Ant-Man, finally with a new helmet piece. They've been using the same helmet piece for a long time, and it really isn't accurate. And they've updated it to this helmet piece that Yellow Jacket has. And it's in silver. The one trade-off is there's no longer transparent eyes, so you can't actually see the head underneath. But I really like that helmet piece. It's pretty detailed and looks good. I also like the antenna. This definitely fits for Ant-Man really well. And then if we pop it off, they actually also included a hairpiece for him in this set, which I think is nice. I don't think this is the best hairpiece for Ant-Man. I would have used like the sleepyhead, slightly spiky hair. That looks a bit more like Paul Rudd. He has that one smiling face, and then this face. And I think the faces fit pretty well, even though the hairpiece doesn't. But it is a nice thought to include a hairpiece. That's really nice of them, so that way, you know, you can switch it out when he's not wearing the helmet, so he's not just bald when not wearing the helmet. And then obviously they didn't include one for War Machine because he really doesn't have that much hair. I think like the fin hairpiece would have been fine, so maybe they should have included a hairpiece, but it doesn't bother me as much. I'm happy that they just gave us one. So now let's look at the villains of the set. So, like with most of the sets, 4 out of the 5 sets in this wave come with Outriders as the villain. And then also 3 sets from the Infinity War wave came with Outriders, except I like how in the Endgame sets are trying to mix it up a bit. Because this is the standard Outrider, which came in all the Infinity War sets and comes in most of the Endgame sets. Which introduced this new back piece here where you can connect the 4 extra arms. And then also, I really like the printing, even though these are really common minifigs and you get a bunch. That doesn't, once again, same with the Quantum Realm suits, it doesn't mean that they're bad. They're still good minifigs and have lots of depth and lots of nice printing. This one is the most common one, which I have a lot of already. And then we have this one, which I believe only comes in 2 sets, and there you can see the back printing, so I'm not going to bother taking that off because it's the same head and torso and legs. Yeah, so I like how they mixed it up a bit here, and I believe this one only comes in 2 sets out of the wave. It might come in a 3rd, but I'm not sure. And they mix him up a bit here by having that shoulder pad piece that was introduced with the Lego Movie 2, and then giving him these golden claws. So that's pretty neat. So that way, you have some slightly different Outriders. And actually, quick correction, I believe this only comes in 2 of the sets, because one that I was thinking is a bit different here. But I like how they're trying to mix up the Outriders and have different versions, and you can definitely imagine this is, like, a higher ranking officer, these just being the generic, and then this being, like, a general or captain of the Outriders. So, definitely pretty cool. Now let's move on to final thoughts. Overall, I think this is a pretty good set. I am a sucker for mechs, so getting another mech build is pretty awesome. I also like how, when I first got this, I thought it was just going to be like the Hulkbuster, just a recolor, but it's built very differently. The arms are built differently, the legs are, the torso is probably the most different part, with the way that the panels close up and also all the weaponry. So it is very different from the Hulkbuster. So I think it's a pretty cool build. I also like the fact that they included the little ammo storage in there, so that way you don't just have a bunch of extra studs lying around. And the place to store War Machine's weapons when he fits in there is a nice thought as well. The Outriders are okay, they're really redundant and very common. This one definitely the most common. I like that different one there. And then the new War Machine and Ant-Man, obviously with the Quantum Realm suits. I like the new helmet for Ant-Man, and the fact that they included the hairpiece is nice. And I have kind of mixed feelings on the new helmet for War Machine, because I definitely like that it's different and think it's pretty cool. But also all the black printing on the face there looks a bit funny to me. But I don't know, I still have mixed feelings about that. But overall, I think this is a really good set. That's all from me for now, and bye.